Welcome to Kingdom Huddle. You know, with all the recent events that's been happening in our country, I live in the United States, so I'm speaking about the U.S. with all the recent shooting and different things that are happening. And, you know, I've been praying about it and just asking God, like, God, what's going on? What is our response? How did we even get this way? It has to be the president's fault. It has to be the governor's fault. It has to be the senator's fault. Whose fault is it, God? And God said, it's all y'all fault. I was like, all y'all mean me too? He said, you too. It's all of your fault, the why society is the way that it is. So in this Kingdom Huddle, I'm actually going to break it down to explain exactly what I mean by that. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Kingdom Huddle. For those who are new to this channel, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Wilma Parker. And for those who have been tuning in, I hope that you've enjoyed the content. And if you have, I highly encourage you to subscribe, to hit the like button, and also to make comments and share. Why am I asking this? Because YouTube collects data. And the more data that they receive, far as the videos that receive the most likes or comments or share, then they will take those videos and put it in front of a larger audience. So I'm not trying to get famous, but I feel that the content that I'm developing and that I have developed on this channel is worthy for others to hear as well. So I love when people send me texts and say I'm doing a great job, or call me and let me know. That's all cool. Or even make comments on Facebook. That's great. However, it's not really benefiting audience of people that need to receive the content if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't shared and comment, the data is not being recorded. So I encourage you, please do your due diligence and just go ahead and if you like it, you enjoy it, share it with other people as well. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. So how do we get to the point where our sense of safety is gone? How do we get to the point where we have a title as United States, but we are so divided on everything? How do we get to this point where we no longer trust those who are in leadership? How? As the Bible says, or as the famous saying is, there's nothing new under the sun. How did we get there? In the playbook, which is the Bible. I refer to the Bible as a playbook. In the playbook, it refers to the blind leading the blind. That's what Jesus said to those who were in charge of the religious laws, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The blind leading the blind. And the playbook says that they end up falling into a pit or into a ditch. I feel as though America, if we already haven't fallen into the ditch, we are at the edge of that ditch. We are divided more than ever. We no longer have, and I'm not speaking regarding the current administration. No. This is a long stemming years of issues that that got us here. But we don't have leaders. We don't have leaders in politics. We have politicians in leadership. There's a difference. There's a difference. Dr. Miles Monroe talked about this many years ago. He said that we do not need any more politicians in leadership. What we need is leadership in politicians. Just because you have a title and a position does not mean that you know what to do with the power that you've been given. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't use that knowledge for the benefit of those who you claim you're working for, because honestly, when we elect somebody in office, we're saying, hey, I'm going to select you, go to this place, and you represent all of us in this area, not your interests, but all of us in this area. We no longer have those. What we have are educated fools. I hate to be so blunt. We have educated fools who are leading us. They know what to do. They're so smart. And here is what I mean by educated fool. You work so hard to learn the laws. You know the laws inside out. You work so hard to get that position and that power because you said you want to represent the United States. You want to represent the citizens. But as soon as you're elected, you use the power that you fought for and the knowledge that you've gained to take advantage of the people. That's exactly what the people were doing in the Bible day when Jesus said the blind is leading the blind. Because the Pharisees, what they were doing, they were experts in the law. They knew the law inside out. Back in the day, they used to call it the scroll. They knew the scroll very well, to the point that because they knew the scroll, they figure out how not to follow the instructions and the laws. They figure out how to corrupt it so it wouldn't apply to them. But they turned around and made sure that everybody else had to follow those rules and laws to the T. And if they didn't, there were consequences. Same scenario that we're dealing with nowadays. We have people who know the law inside out, even to the point that they're so smart, they're educated, but they're fools because they're so smart to the point that if you know the law well enough, you can get away with years, a whole lifetime of never paying taxes. Yet other people like us, we will lose everything. We will even lose our freedom and be locked up if we owe IRS. We are dealing with people who refuse to lead us because they don't know how to lead. They're not true leaders. What we have is professional manipulators. What we have are people who are in leadership, but they have no principles. They have no morals, nothing that will guide them that will say, well, this is my standard and I'm not going to compromise in any ways. What we have, instead of leaders, we have professional deal makers. I'm saying all of this is because this is why we're in the state that we're in. Never in my lifetime have I seen people who are titled lawmakers refuse to make laws. People who say that when they're running for their office, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then that. They promising us the moon, the stars and the moon. And as soon as they get into office, what they do, the lobbyists get in their pockets and they no longer think about you. I'm hoping that somebody will hear this and understand that when you go to the polls, the sad thing about it is, I must admit, we are hard pressed, meaning that I don't know of any really true individual candidate that's running that makes me feel like, yes, I believe they will do what they say they're going to do. Yes, this is not somebody who's self-centered. Yes, my job is, because to me, I'm the type of person is, if your dream and your goals and your ambition only involves you, where it's only going to benefit you, then you're not dreaming big enough. The individuals that I'm looking for in the next election are individuals who are thinking about the generations to come. That if I choose to apply this law or write this law or agree with this law, how is it going to affect my children and my grandchildren? Not only my children, but those around me, the next generation. Those who don't care about the next generation, all you're going to hear from them is the next election. That's all you're going to hear from them. They want to be elected, but they don't care nothing about the next generation. The thing that I'm talking about here is I serve a God that's a God about generations. So if we're so self-centered, the reason why I say that we are all part of the problem, because we have voted and put people in office based on our selfish desires. How is it going to benefit me? If I'm gay, I want to make sure that somebody's in office who's pro-gay. If I'm a black woman, I want to make sure that black women have this. Everything was based on self-centeredness. That's why our babies are left uncovered. Because nobody cares enough to say that this may hurt me, but in the long run, it's going to benefit them. We say we represent Christ, then why don't we care about others who don't look like us? I'm tired of people who saying that they love God. I love God and I love my guns too. And I'm not attacking guns because I have guns in my house. My husband's a hunter. My boys all have guns. They know how to hunt. They know how to use it. So I'm not attacking guns. But those two things, did God say for you to cling to an object or for you to care about human life? So if it means that even though my household is full of guns, if it means that I need to put my guns down and we have to go back to the drawing board to make sure that my children and your children are safe, then so be it. I'll step back for a moment. Take that for a moment. Let's get this thing in order. It's not just one thing. We're so self-centered. That's why we're at this state. We're ignoring the needs of these children who are in crisis, who are taking up arms and shooting. We're ignoring their mental needs. We're so busy trying to climb the ladder that we're not paying attention to the monster that's being created in our backyard, in their bedrooms. We're not even monitoring their exposure to social media. We are the problem, y'all. It's time to wake up. It's not one person. It's not just happened. It's not the guns. It's not the mental health. It's all the above. We are the problem because we're still sitting around pointing fingers. Well, the Democrats need to do that. No, the Republicans need to do that. Well, this person needs to do that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right now, you could call a meeting in your town. Let's do a check-in, mental check-in. How are you doing? You could go to your neighbor and offer to have dinner once a week. Let's become the community. Let's become the United States that I know that we can be. It's not just about my safety. It's about everybody's safety. So we are at this state because we are morally bankrupt. When we're in a state where every week I'm hearing about people who I would say great, powerful men of God. They can preach down the walls. They just have all these great revelations, but they have no self-control to the point that they can't even keep their zippers up. We have people who are in power who are acting like they're powerless. I don't know how to solve the problem. Do something. We are all the problem. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Honestly, if it was up to me, I'll say fire all of them. But again, it's not just them. That's the problem. We all are the problem. Okay? So I believe in prayer. But I believe that prayer has been misused. Because prayer has been presented in a way where we're going to God to be the one to solve it. And God is saying, no, I created you. So I can give you my strategy. Would you like that? And a lot of us, we don't want that. We don't want strategy because why? Strategy involves work. That means that I got to get uncomfortable. That means that I have to let go of some of my desires in exchange for the better good. We don't want strategy. But for those who are serious-minded individuals who say, you know what? You're right. I am part of the problem. So what we need to start doing is having strategy sessions. Strategy sessions from God, individually and as a group. But it's time to strategize. And again, don't come to the table and say, I want to strategize, but I don't want to do anything. No, strategy is saying, okay, this is what God is saying. Okay, this is what I can do within my power. This is what you can do within your power. Let's do it. That's strategizing. And guess what? If enough of us are willing to put God at his word that said that he can do anything, all things are possible. If we present ourselves and say, God, I'm ready. Use me as that vessel to get it done, to make sure that the things that people thought was impossible, you do it through me, God. Because there's lives that are at stake. Guess what? If enough of us are willing to be serious with our words and not just say it, perhaps we can get some of those jokers out of office and put some of us there. Perhaps we can clean house and we can actually get a leader. Because the political system in America is not created to manufacture leaders. It's created to manufacture deal makers. So it's time for us, Christians. It's time for us to stop hiding behind our walls of church. It's time for us to be the solution. How are you going to go to them to solve a problem that they created? They created the problem. They want us to be at each other. They don't care if our children are killed. So why are you going to go to someone who's, like I said, emotionally disconnected, morally bankrupt, have no principle, no standards? They will not solve nothing for us. They will not save us. God is our Savior. But we need to understand that God can do all things. Yes, he can change the heart of the leader. But why change the heart of the leader? Why don't we get people in leadership who have the heart of God? That's what we can do. We can start seeking God like never before, but also be willing to work like never before. Like never before. I am determined, God, use me like never before to make sure that the next generation, God, to make sure that the next generation, God, will not have to deal with some of the things that we're dealing with. That's my goal. If you on board, stay tuned, because there are times that I'm going to actually start posting some strategy sessions as God lead. But it's time for us, people of God, to do something. They're not going to help us. They're not going to help our children. They're not going to help our community. We have to do something.